My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to give you my favorite PrizePicks entry for UFC Kansas City. If you don't know what PrizePicks is, it's daily fantasy. You come in here, and you just say more or less than the numbers you see on the screen, and if you're right, you can 10 times your money. And if you're wrong, well, hopefully you got the free deposit match, so who cares? All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/PrizePicks, use promo code WWP, and they will instantly match your deposit. If you give them 100, they'll give you 100. You give them 50, they'll give you 50. Take the free money, build yourself an entry, and if you win, you're going to have even more free money. If you lose, who cares? It was their money. WeWantPicks.com/PrizePicks. That promo code is WWP. If you come into PrizePicks this week, there's going to be a lot on here because they don't just do UFC. I do the UFC content, but they also have PFL in here as well. And if you want some PFL content, well, check out Artem. Artem is uploading PFL breakdowns on our channel. If you're a premium member, you can see all of his PFL breakdown and detailed insight and information as well. But if you want to check out some of these PFL lines like Magomed Umalatov, Denise Gostilov, Clay Collard, check out Artem's video. We're going to talk about UFC in this video right now. I do like a bunch of spots here, and fight minutes, nothing really here stood out at me. This is an interesting card because betting-wise, every single line on this card is 2.5 rounds. Every single line. And I think Cutelaba is under 2.5. I bet on that. The problem is PrizePicks didn't set it at 2.5. They set it at 1.5. So that's a tricky line. Dustin Jacoby, same thing, 2.5, super tricky. I'm going to leave the round lines alone. None of these really jump out at me as something that I should 100% do. The only one potentially, Mateusz Nicolau. Actually, let's go ahead and add that. Potentially, Mateusz Nicolau can win by finish. Brandon Royval gets finished in all of his losses. I think Mateusz wins, so we'll go ahead and add that. Takedowns is always very, very interesting because I like to play the unders for the most part, but we do have a few fighters on here that have some really nice lines. If we take a look at Billy Quarantillo, he's at 1.5 takedowns. I actually like the more there. He just needs 2 takedowns for that to hit. He's fighting Edson Barboza. Edson Barboza is going to be the much better striker. Billy Q is a busy, athletic, fast-paced guy who knows he's not going to be the better striker in this matchup. So in all likelihood, he's going to work his wrestling. And in that case, he just needs 2. He gets 2, we hit this, and I think he will get that done. The other one I like here, potentially, is Pereira Rodriguez. We're going to remove this, but let me talk about it very quickly. I like the less on Pereira Rodriguez because she's fighting Jillian Robertson. Jillian Robertson is a much better, just raw BJJ grappler, right? Jillian Robertson's only path to victory is a submission on the ground. That's her only path. Why would Pereira Rodriguez take it to the ground? She shouldn't. She absolutely should not. She's going to be the much better striker. So I do have an entry with Pereira Rodriguez less 4 takedowns, but she does have 11 takedowns in her last 3 fights, and just muscle memory may kick in. So I'm going to remove that, and let's say we replace it with Mateusz under 12.5 fight minutes. Let's go look at Fantasy Score. Fantasy Score is a very interesting one. If you click here in the scoring chart, you're going to see how these scores break down, right? You're going to get 0.6 points for a significant strike, 6 points for a takedown. You're going to get 3 for takedown defense, which is a unique thing that PrizePicks does. And then you're going to get points for knockdown, submission attempts, and all sorts of bonuses depending on how that fighter wins. So I typically like to look for less in fantasy points, or I'll go more if somebody's looks crazy. In this case, let's go to Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez is sitting at, there's PFL in here as well, which is why we see so much. Chris Gutierrez is sitting at 89.5 fantasy points. I do like the more. I think Chris Gutierrez is going to beat up Pedro Munoz. I think he's going to land a ton of strikes, potentially get a knockdown, potentially get a finish. I think they're almost mirror images of each other, except Pedro's a little older, seems to be a little worn out, and Chris Gutierrez is far more powerful. So I like the more than 89.5 fantasy points on him. And then I've talked about it in a bunch of videos. I don't think Cutelaba wins this fight. I think he gets finished in a loss. So I don't think he's going to get anywhere near that 73.5 fantasy points. Obviously, if you don't agree with that pick, don't throw him in your entry. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. We can 10 times our money if all 4 hit. But let's head on over. There's still significant strikes as well. The only one here I would consider is Mateusz Nicolau over 36.5. He has landed more than 36.5 significant strikes in pretty much every single one of his UFC fights, including stoppage wins. I'm going to take him out because we already have him in the less fight time minutes, but we want to throw 10 to win 100, turn it into a flex play so we can lose one and still make money, and we're good to go. Let's take a look at these 2 entries. I always do flex plays because it's an MMA fight. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in a fist fight. So I always like to do the flex plays so I can just, hedge and make sure that I'll still get paid even if something goes awry. We got Mateusz Nicolau under 12.5 fight minutes. Billy Quarantillo, more than 1.5 takedowns. Chris Gutierrez, more than 89.5 fantasy points. Kutalaba, less than 73.5 fantasy points. Then I have the other entry I did earlier in the week. Same Billy Q. Pereira Rodriguez, I do have the less here. Again, she shouldn't be shooting takedowns, so I got to trust her that she's not going to do 2. And then the other unique one outside of An and Kutalaba was Nicolau, more than 36.5 significant strikes. Go to weonpicks.com/prizepicks. Get your free money. Use that promo code WWP. Take the free money from them. Build an entry. If you lose, it's okay. It was their money. All of your money is still there. You can withdraw it if you want. weonpicks.com/prizepicks. That promo code is WWP.